Good evening, everybody. It is Monday, December 16th, 2024. It's about 7:02 p.m., and I would like to call the Select Board meeting to order. We have guests tonight. The Planning Board is going to be joining us for anyone who's taken a look at the agenda. So, Mark, do you want to do your roll call vote and call to order, or do you want to wait until after we do Pledge of Allegiance?
We'll wait till after you do the Pledge of Allegiance. And
Okay.
then
Sounds good. All right, well, if you'd like to join me in pledging allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All righty. Next up is public input. Is there anybody who has anything they'd like to bring to the board this evening? Seeing no hands, just making sure. All right, nobody has anything to talk about tonight. All right then. So we're going to move right into our joint meeting with the Planning Board to receive our master plan annual update from the town planner. So Mark, now would you like to call your meeting to order?
Well, are you guys going to turn on your video?
Oh, yep. Kirby says he's working on it. Yep.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, so I'd like to call the meeting of December 16th, 2024 to order. Roll call vote. Cindy?
Markwood's here.
Kathy?
Force, present.
Rebecca?
Turner, present.
White present. Janet? Okay. All right, so we're all here and our alternate.
Donnelly present.
Okay, thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Wonderful. All right, so I'd like to turn it over to Alec Wade for the update.
Thank you very much, Kristen.
Thank you.
To the Select Board and the Planning Board for your time tonight. As you heard me talk all about January of this past year, this is some of my favorite stuff to do here in Boxborough and with any community. When we're talking about master plans, we're talking about the bread and butter of what every planner does, and we're talking about a 15-year vision for the town of Boxborough, the way you want your community to be and what you want it to become someday. I'm going to dive right into the presentation, which will be abbreviated compared to last year. You're all experts on this. You've been through this before, so bear with me while I get my screen up.
You think very highly of us, Alec.
You've been through this before, and I'm excited to give the presentation again, but with updated data that reflects some really big successes for 2024. So, quick note for everybody, this is the 2025 Annual Progress Report. I suspect moving forward, we're always going to do these in December. And in this case, and this year, we're lining up the date of this presentation and our work tonight with the release of the first grant in this planning cycle, the TAP grant, which is Technical Assistance provided by our Regional Councils of Government, MAPC. So after tonight and during our public comment period, I'll be applying to the first grants under that with no matching funds required. But tonight we're going to go over your master plan, where you stand today, and you, the boards, will have an opportunity to provide some input. As you heard me mention briefly, there will be a public comment period, just given our timeline tonight. We're not going to be accepting public comment from the community, but I will have a robust method by which people can submit feedback that'll be documented and tracked. Tonight, the goal is to report out to you the successes we've seen this past year, any areas of improvement, and what we can continue to do to implement this master plan. I will ask that everybody just hold your questions until we get to the Q&A period so that we can keep going through it. So for those of you at home wondering, what is a master plan? Well, a master plan is that comprehensive roadmap that becomes a community. So several years ago, back in 2015, the town of Boxborough sat down and it created this vision for the future, specifically for 2030 and how we're going to get there. This master plan incorporated several methods of public engagement, from survey activities to public forums. It set both aspirational goals and tangible goals in the middle that can meet them, and various actions and the timeline to implement them. Boxborough 2030 in particular established a rural and engaged community for all. That was the vision. And those 125 actions create the vision and how we're going to become or continue to be a rural engaged community for all. I've always loved this tagline because it highlights the rural character that we talk about at planning board meetings all the time, as well as an engaging and thriving community that likes to participate, and one that is open and inclusive, which ties both to the demographics but also the cultural background that makes up Boxborough. I should say the many cultural backgrounds that make up Boxborough. Tonight we're undertaking an annual update, and you, the two boards, are receiving the progress report. Your plan in particular calls for this methodology where both boards convene together to understand the progress that's being made and track the successes thus far. Different plans call for different methodologies. I happen to really like your methodology because it leverages the public access system, which is widely used here in Boxborough. And since coming on board in 2022, I've worked with the boards as well as with town staff to undertake this reporting model. So this model is slightly different than how this originated. Your first joint meeting involved inviting the various board and committee chairs to come verbally give reports at the time. In our case, we choose a report method. So we have a permanent document that memorializes the work as well as an updated data set. That data set is collected through the sheet you see on the left-hand side of the screen. It comes in Word doc now instead of PDF because the IT wasn't in my favor last year. But this form allows us to collect both feedback on individual action items as well as feedback on the next plan. We're going to dive into the data now, and we're going to actually talk about the results here. But last year when we went through this process, there was a 9% data gap. So I want to start by highlighting that. You'll see that we had completed 18% of actions in the plan. We were in progress with 42%. We had some delayed actions, and we had some no update actions, and we had some no data as well. The no data was mostly on myself. I had anticipated the sheer volume of reporting that needed to come from the select board and the planning board, and so I did not work to solicit that early enough in the process. This year, as we'll go in, we had significantly greater staff support in doing the reporting, so whether that was the Recreation Commission, the Conservation Commission, your two boards as well, we leveraged staff support, which, as a teaser, was one of our recommendations in 2023 going into 2024, was to lean on your staff for better support. And this year, that's clearly come to fruition. You can see that going from 2023 to 2024, we had a huge jump in both our completed actions as well as our in-progress actions. Since diving back into this reporting process, we've been able to launch and better track the activities that are going on in your master plan, and we've significantly reduced the delayed actions or the no update actions. I count this as a huge win, and as you heard me say last year, you really want to combine your data into two specific sets. So no master plan will ever be 100% complete. That's just the nature of the master plan. Actions that are both underway and actively being undertaken, as well as those have been previously completed, are both what I call engaged actions. Engaged actions are the concept of a successful plan. The disengaged actions are the ones that maybe naturally have fallen by the wayside. Perhaps the board that's responsible for them is no longer interested in participating in that action. But as you can see, we have a huge spike in our completed and in progress actions and a huge dip in our unreported or no action categories, our disengaged or not engaged. There's a lot of factors that go into it, and these two boards have been provided a draft of my written report in advance. That written report is also prepared and placed in the planning board packet and will be available on the town's website starting on Thursday for the public comment period. But in large part, that is due to the success of becoming a green community formally. That allowed us to tick many boxes and to progress several actions in the plan. Additionally, shout out in part to the police department. Their Strengthening Police and Community Partnerships program successfully checked off several boxes, as well as the new public transit system we brought to Boxborough. Again, checking off several boxes and actions within the plan. Great. Jump past this one real quick. Right.
Excuse me.
Right, so you'll see this talks through some of the issues we faced in 2024. Much of the unreported data was in the in progress or delayed, and it was a plan that was more complete than originally thought. As we talked through before, some of this data was just not available at the time, but we've seen that data has since gone into the in progress or completed categories instead. So again, a success of the town this past year, leveraging your staff support to get work done. Additionally, a theme arose for housing equitability and accessibility. And so this was a major theme in this year's reporting. We found that several of the categories that had not been reported on or were either delayed, they are in lieu of having either accessibility categories covered, usually in our legislation, or our housing needs had not been fully assessed. I'll report as well for myself that having gone through the MBTA Communities program this past year, a housing production plan would have been quite helpful in supporting that. Now you, the town of Boxborough, is a community over the 10% subsidized housing inventory required for each community. And that's a lot of technical stuff, but what it actually means is you're not required to have a housing production plan. Nonetheless, I encourage every community, regardless of your subsidized housing number, to undertake a housing production plan. I propose completing this plan in the coming year, or at least starting to fund it and launching it in 2026. And I don't just say that off the cuff of let's fund the program. I say let's raise a matching fund, let's prepare a grant application, and let's put in for the work. Once you complete a housing production plan, which would be an engaged effort of both the planning board as well as the housing board, we'll be able to better dive into the equitability and accessibility. So for those at home, our master plan calls for housing that is accessible and available to older residents in the community, allowing people to age in place better, as well as being culturally accessible. So understanding what cultural factors might prevent home ownership. A housing production plan is the first step in understanding both of those factors, and from there we can bring in ADA and other cultural specialists to better assess. So in 2024, we completed a variety of things, but coming out of the year, I believe it's 5 key recommendations here. The first being prepare a housing production plan. The second being to prepare an economic development plan. We've had a lot of economic development exercises, but a certified plan by the Department of Economic Development at the state would be significantly beneficial to the town. I do recommend continuing to invest in our educational partnerships. So that includes internships that have been hosted through my office and other offices, as well as studio and other field projects. This coming year, we'll be working with Tufts University, and I'm already working to onboard an intern for this summer. It's a low cost and effective method of continuing to get work done while also building our capacity. And as I had stated last year, but we were unable to accomplish this past year, I do recommend we've revitalized the Complete Streets program here in Boxborough. We are an eligible community. I am certified to operate a Complete Streets program, and I would be willing to work either with the Complete Streets Committee or work independently with our Department of Public Works, whichever way the Select Board would see fit to go, because you are the appointing authority. And then finally, complete the climate action plan. So as some have heard me say in the recent months, we're currently underway with a climate action plan. It's a step beyond just the Green Communities program, where we commit to specific actions and where we work to bring down our greenhouse gas emissions on a community-wide basis and contribute to the larger scale. So while Green Communities equips us with a grant program to implement projects in-house that will support this activity, a climate action plan takes a broader look, and it challenges both your boards to think beyond just green communities, as well as individual households, challenging them to be more sustainable at the point of trash, for example. Those are my 5 recommendations, and while there are not too many of them, it serves to demonstrate that there are key elements that can be implemented. Each one of these planning activities will allow us to check off several boxes, and that's something I'm very determined to do. Maximizing our capacity by addressing actions that will serve multiple actions in the master plan. All right, so unlike last year where this took me 45 minutes, I did tonight in 15. which means you have ample time for question and answer. So again, the way I think it's best to frame this is that you, the board, should ask me questions now. Use me as a tool to better understand the planning devices that I'm recommending here, to better understand the raw data that you've had the opportunity to see. And then at the very end, before myself and the planning board drop off to go back to our regularly scheduled meeting, I'll go over the comment period and how people at home can participate as well. So I'll pause there.
All right, why don't we start with our guest, the planning board. Do you have any questions for Alec you'd like to ask in this venue?
Cindy.
Oh, Cindy, your hand is up.
Yeah, I know that there's a TAP grant application process underway. I kind of wanted to talk with you folks and with Alec about how do you prioritize which projects are going to apply for a TAP grant. Usually, a town is lucky to get one in any given year. So I guess I'd like to talk a little bit or hear a little bit about priorities for, who gets to apply for the TAP grant. Clearly there were five major recommendations there, all of which could probably use some funding. So I'd just like to hear a little bit more about how we might prioritize who goes after the TAP grant this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Really great question, Cindy. So when it comes to prioritizing a TAP grant, you want to look at primarily what's going to be your most successful application. So which is going to be the most competitive in that fiscal year. Each year when the TAP grant criteria comes out, they designate effectively what they're trying to fund. Last year, for example, they said they wanted to fund MBTA communities work. The Regional Council of Government was looking to accomplish that goal. And similarly, they were looking to accomplish various projects or assistant projects that had a diversity, equity, and inclusion component to the application itself. This year, they've had a slightly broader brush that they can paint, being that they have worked with so many communities already. However, they do still have communities that are going to need to complete their MBTA communities work. We're already under contract with them and fully funded in that category. My first question back to them was, how are we doing on budget? Well, because we received a state grant last year, we don't need to apply into that category, which opens the door for us to consider a lot of other activities. Through this process, I did encourage boards or committees to come and talk to me about what projects they'd like to apply for, what they think might be eligible, and then I can help kind of scope out for them how highly it would score. Of the recommendations that I walked through, we can look at specifically, bear with me, the housing production plan, the economic development plan, and the climate action plan would be three activities that could be eligible for MAPC work. And that's not to say there aren't other projects. I encourage planning board members, for example, to come with proposals and suggestions tonight as well. The climate action plan, we are underway in-house and we're working with student groups to complete that activity. And so that really rules it out for an MAPC TAP grant. TAP grants only fund work for the regional government to work with you. Looking at the economic development plan versus the housing production plan. Both are fully eligible for MAPC work. Both would score highly. However, my estimation is that a housing production plan would draw specifically from their housing planning's office. And knowing that the housing planners are going to be working on the MBTA community's compliance, they're already going to be overburdened. And my assumption is they're not really going to be looking to onboard housing production plans right at this moment. They're going to want to continue working through the other activities, and discussions I've had separately kind of alluded to that as well. The economic development plan, however, is something that the EDC and I have discussed a couple times already. We've worked out a scope of work, and in speaking with MAPC, they're fully able and ready to handle a plan like this. An economic development plan, unlike a study activity, is one that is certified by the Executive Office of Economic Development, and so it has very key guidance and steps that you have to go through. MAPC's economic development planners are skilled in this work. They understand how to undertake it, and they would be ready if that's the application we choose to put in to kick off that project and get started on it. Additionally, the Water Resource Committee members of the Water Resource Committee had briefly talked to me about a couple options of projects they had, but I don't believe they ended up submitting for one of them. And ultimately, they are doing study work independently with a private contractor already. And so they are at capacity with that, but I am open to other ideas and suggestions, and I'm willing to hear your thoughts.
Does anyone on the select board want to comment on what they feel their priority is? Are you prepared to comment?
I just have a question, but that's all.
Oh, go for it then. If it's relative to what we're talking about.
Not for that, no, but in his presentation. Sure.
Okay, give me 1 second.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna throw my 2 cents in that I actually think economic development is what we need to focus on based on all the topics you just mentioned, Alec. I think that's gonna have the biggest long-term effect, and it's probably our most pressing need at this moment. It also sounds like we'd have a good chance of receiving grants for that, so, based on what you just said. So that's just my 2 cents. So, all right, any other?
There's nothing to say.
I would say,
So, Alec, is with the TAP grant, is that what, you're working with the Sustainability Committee on in terms of, managing how we're gonna handle all the refuse in the future? Is that part of that, or is that something totally separate?
Good question. So that is separate to it. For those listening at home, since we've been able to hire an associate town planner, we've been able to onboard the sustainability committee and better equip them with staff support, and we're working to continue doing that. Mass DEP offers a technical assistance grant, and so that is a separate and independent grant program. We'll be leveraging their technical assistance dollars to provide better staff support to the sustainability committee.
Okay, thanks.
yeah, and I think we need a lot more information about the transfer station and waste management before we do much more.
For sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of missing information. So, okay, all right. So I was just responding to Cindy's question, because Cindy had asked if we had any, thoughts on what we thought was the highest priority. That's the only reason I was throwing out that based on what I was seeing, EDC is my personal, that is not representative of the board, just my personal thoughts.
But I would agree with that. I think economic development would be important for the town.
Yeah, I'm just very concerned about our long-term financial future, where we have virtually no new growth and nothing on the horizon. I'm definitely concerned about economic growth, since we aren't looking at new growth per se, so. All right, next question.
Alec, thank you very much. It was a great presentation. My question was, one of your recommendations was with the Complete Streets, and you said you were going to reach out with the Complete Streets Committee. Is that committee still up and active? I didn't know that was still up and active. Or are we going to have to reorganize it, or not reorganize, but reestablish it?
Yeah, so so this gets to a question that we actually have back for the select board. So there are 2 models that you can do the Complete Streets program under successfully. There is an in-house model where typically your planning department will work with your DPW and you'll work independently, but that does increase the amount of times that we have to come before the select board to present to you the work we're going to do, or to do public engagement activities to decide that work. Alternatively, you could choose to revitalize the Complete Streets Committee. That has lapsed in a long enough length of time that everybody's term on the board has also lapsed. So you would have to revitalize the board in its entirety. You could recharter it and come up with a revised definition. From the research I've done looking back, the community went through a very good in-depth process to form a Complete Streets Committee and to become eligible. And then, unfortunately, key turnover right at the time of being eligible for applications really hindered your ability to go out and seek funding. I have started doing the public engagement to reprioritize your prioritization plan. That's something we have to do at this stage because we have to update it. That, like I said, that can either be done independently or it can be done with a committee. And that's ultimately a decision left to the select board, driven, of course, by public engagement as well, as to whether you'd like it to be under a committee model or a departmental model.
Great, thanks, Alex.
Are there any other questions?
So
or-
I'm a little confused about the Complete Streets, because I came here on a Saturday and we had a workshop, but I didn't see a committee. So can you explain what the committee is as compared to what you did with the residents of the town?
Yeah, so that first activity I hosted was to start reprioritizing the plan. Effectively take the old recommendations from the plan, highlight them in some form and fashion, and then allow the public that was present that night to be able to kind of parse out where their priorities geographically are, as well as the various things they want to see on a broad spectrum improved about our transportation networks, whether that's our public transportation, our multimodal transportation, which is our walkways, or our streets and roadways, what they want to see done. That was the first step in the process because I needed to start wrapping my head around it. And knowing the age of your complete streets plan, there had been enough time passed that we had to get a temperature of the room. That is independent from whether the select board chooses to bring back the committee or not. But at this stage, I am prepared to go forward and resubmit your reprioritized plan, which will then allow us to start accessing funding. Whether you choose to set up a committee now is the question at hand. Do you want to go the committee route or the departmental route? Regardless, we can be accessible to funding in 6 to 12 months.
How soon would you like an answer on that, Alec?
It doesn't have to be tonight. I say
Okay, well, I was just like,
every 6 months they allow you to resubmit your prioritization plan, and it gets reevaluated at that time.
Okay.
So whether you do it under one model or the other, timeline wise, I don't consider this to be your highest priority,
Okay.
but I highlight it because it allows us access to, I believe it's up to $400,000 every 3 years, and you can spread that out over the 3 years if you choose, to complete key projects, as I would characterize it, leading to 111. That's probably where you'll score the highest, whereas 111 itself is under state control. So how do we better access our primary transportation route?
All right.
Alec, when did we last get that grant?
The town of Boxborough has never received a competitive grant application.
Oh, never, okay.
So this is what I'd like to do, Alec, is I'm thinking we should put this on the agenda for one of our meetings in January. I know we're all super busy right now, but let's get that on the agenda. And then perhaps, Alec, you can guide us in the pros and cons of either having, going the department route or the committee route. Does the state look on either more favorably? Is the information better? Do you and your staff even have time to go the department route? So why don't we bring that back in January?
Yep, happy to do so.
Thank you. Awesome. Is the rest of the board okay with that?
That's fine.
That makes sense to me.
Good idea.
Okay. All right.
I have a few questions, Alec. The first one was, it said 2025 annual report. Is that 2025 annual report or is it 2024 annual report?
Great question. So this is the annual report for 2025. So when I now submit my written annual part for the town meeting, it will be based on this. So I do it based on the year we're going into. You
Okay.
report backwards on data, but it's published after the first of the year.
Okay, okay, got it. That was a
That
little
was a good
confusing.
one. I assumed it was fiscal year, so thanks, Priya. Now we all know more.
My second question is, when you showed us like how we are progressing for like the 2024 year, where we had like over 80% that we were on target, and then there were some that we couldn't. Now, do you have a set target for 2025? And how far along are we from the 2030 plan? Like, do we have a whole lot that we need to achieve to get there? Or are we in good track to get there?
Yeah, really great questions. No master plan is ever fully complete. So you are very close to being at what I would say is maximum completion, so to speak. And remember that completion is characterized as both those actions that have already been wrapped up and closed, as well as those are ongoing. In some cases, some of the actions are caring and maintaining for parks. Well, we can't ever actually complete that because we're always going to be caring for and maintaining our parks. So as long as we're continuing to do that, that's positivity. On any well-executed master plan in the final section of its life cycle, in this case, we're about to be into the final 33% of its life cycle, to be at 80% is phenomenal. You're in a great place right now, and being able to do something like a housing production plan will go a long way to carving out those last few. We'll probably get pretty close to the 10% threshold there of those actions that are incomplete. But a reminder too that some of them are just going to stay incomplete. Priorities change, and planners for many decades have said that the greatest tool in completing a master plan is flexibility.
One last question. The economic development grants, are there specific areas within the economic development that we will get more grants or easily get the grants as opposed to others? So are there different areas that they want to like us to focus on in terms of economic development? Do we have an idea about those?
That is a really good question. So when you do a certified economic development plan, you have to do demographics and history analysis, not just of the community, but the region at large. And they expect you to point back to even the state plan. The state publishes an economic development plan, which harbors a lot of data in it. They do a lot of broad spectrum research on emerging industries, sectors, and areas. But the state of Massachusetts has always taken a standpoint that economic development is very specific to the community itself. And so they understand that your plan, when completed, is not going to be, it's not going to be a carbon copy of the state plan. You're going to have specific individual projects as well as industries and areas to target and reference to. Notably, and part of the reason I'm pushing for an economic development plan is that there is a whole section of grants that Boxborough wouldn't be competitive for right now. And right now, the Economic Development Committee is working with several other committees on village center revitalization. The village center project is going to rely on us being able to better market, better zone, and understand those areas. There's a lot of stuff that's going to go into that someday. And so by publishing a certified economic development plan, we are prepping ourselves and getting ready to be able to implement some of those action items better, which will let us bring to fruition the visioning exercises and the conceptual work being done today. Additionally, you never know when something like land acquisition might come up for economic development purposes. Perhaps the town someday wants to actually acquire land to construct a project of its own. This is the kind of plan that you have to have in place to even consider that. And so I just want to equip the town with all of its options.
Okay. Cindy, I see your hand is up, unless it's residual.
No, this is a new one.
Alrighty.
Just a couple of comments regarding Complete Streets. My recollection is when the Complete Streets Committee sort of disbanded the last time, it was sort of handed off to the police. So you may want to integrate, some of the police department and get some input from them as you proceed if you decide to reformulate this in some way. And the other point I wanted to make about that was that we're undergoing a traffic study now, a townwide traffic study, and we've gotten, I guess, a preliminary draft without the final recommendations. But I would probably recommend that you integrate any street work going forward with with that. The consultant is familiar, that's helping us with the traffic report, is familiar with the Complete Streets program and might be able to be useful. And so I wouldn't want to have that, I'd like to see those two things integrated. So I just want to make you aware of that.
Yeah, absolutely, and really great feedback. And I should give kudos to the planning board too. I was very excited when the planning board advocated and was able to fund the traffic study it's undertaking. Once that is complete, it will also achieve, I believe it's 3 action items in the master plan. So really excited to have that data available to us, and that'll well equip us both going into our next master plan as well as the 2025 through 2027 grant cycles. So really excited to have that work, and certainly we'll be integrating that and public safety into any Complete Streets work in the future.
Great. Any further comment from the select board or the planning board? Any public comment? All right. Well, thank you so much. That was great, very informative, and appreciate your time. Now, speaking of appreciating your time, Alec, if we take the special town meeting warrant, draft warrant out of order, do you have time to stay for a few minutes in case we have any questions?
Unfortunately, the planning board and I do have to step aside to their next meeting. I would real quick like to just go over it for everybody. I don't want to leave this part out. You raised the question of public comment. We are very open to public comment in the master planning process. So I do encourage folks to consider providing their comment. If you look here on the screen, I've got a very simple bit.ly link that'll take you directly to the master plan page or this QR code. If you check that page beginning on December 20th, there will be instructions on how residents individually can submit comment and feedback, and I do look forward to reviewing that. Kristen, going back to your question, unfortunately, we are tied up with a pretty dense agenda.
No worries.
So let me get them set up and started, and if I think there's a convenient technological way I can dip out, I will shoot Mike a text.
All right, sounds good. Better you than me.
Awesome.
All right.
Real quick, I just want to go over for everybody before we transition away. In just a moment, Chairperson Mark White is going to call the planning board meeting to a brief recess. We will reform the planning board meeting at 7:45 p.m. after said recess. Actually, we're pretty ahead of schedule, so let's do 7:40 p.m. For those who would like to leave the select board meeting and join us for the planning board, you can do so by following the link published at the bottom of the planning board agenda. Mark, would you like to move for a brief recess?
Can I get a motion for a recess, my board?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. Cindy?
Mark, what's aye?
Kathy? I saw your mouth move, but that works. Rebecca?
Turner, aye.
And White Eye. Okay, so we're going to, we'll be back in the planning board meeting in about 4 minutes. Thank you.
Thanks for coming tonight.
guys.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to see
Thanks,
you too.
Alec.
Happy holidays.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate your time tonight.
All right, then I guess we'll stay in order. I was just trying to be efficient, maybe zoop right along. All right, presentation and discussion of FY26 budget overview with a possible vote. And we are 7 minutes ahead of time, too. All right, so I did not print. Mike, I'm going to follow along on my phone, and so I'm not texting or,
I'm gonna put
cruising the
slides-
internet.
I'm gonna
I know,
put
but
the
then I'd
slides
have to
right up.
see it. It just sucks to be old. If you can, awesome. If not, it's okay. I should have printed it.
Do you want the warrant as well?
Yes, that's what I want, is just the warrant. Yeah.
Okay, not his presentation.
No, just the warrant itself, please. Thank you. All right, it's either that or I was gonna be hovering over Dave's shoulder, which I'm sure would have made him very uncomfortable. He'd be like, "Okay." All right, jump in, Mike.
Okay.
I'm still gonna be looking
See
on
if I
my
can
phone.
get this to go to full screen.
See, I can actually read the PowerPoint on my phone, so, yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you. So this is just a very high-level first look at the FY26 budget. I think I have about 8 or 9 slides. So first, as always, I just want to review the roles and responsibilities in the budget process, give a brief overview, talk about some of the goals and assumptions in this preliminary budget, some of the challenges early on, the current status, and then a summary. So for roles and responsibilities, it starts here tonight with the select board voting the budget, priorities, and then and that's your role, and then to follow along, get us ready to town meeting where the townspeople can take a vote. Next are the department heads who are, they have submitted their preliminary budgets to administration and finance, but they are also ready to make adjustments if the priorities that I gave them, to work off of should change this evening. Then they come to myself and Hangwar, who's in the room as your finance director, to assemble the budget and get it ready to start making any adjustments as needed, and then get it ready to start going through the hearing process with the finance committee. Get to budget Saturday, which is the first Saturday in January, here in this room, and then on to town meeting, and then next stop is at town meeting. The voters would hear the presentations, hear the recommendations, and make the decisions. It's important to point out the different roles that people play, and that the responsibilities that fall upon these 5 groups of people. So yours is as the chief policy board in town.
It's your job to set the policy direction for the town's budget. Next is the department head's responsibility to put together the budget for the expenses and salaries for the staff and the programs that fall under their departments. Submit them to administration and finance, where the finance director and I will go through, as I mentioned, and assemble it. And then the finance committee, their role is to go through and review the budget department by department and make a recommendation to town meeting. And then, of course, it's the ultimate decision of the voters at town meeting to decide on all or parts of the budget. There are 3 areas along this path through these 5 groups where the budget can be cut. And those are at the department head level, where it's initiated, at the town administrator level, where I work with the finance director to put it together, and then the voters at town meeting, of course, can make a cut, downward. Just a brief overview. So tonight, there are basically 3 levels of budget that you should consider. Level funded means that it would be the same exact funding as last year, or at least the net of it would be no increases, and which would mean a decrease in services, because we know the cost of labor and materials and services go up. The next level of budget that you can consider is a level services budget, which means you're expecting the services of the town to stay at least at where they are, not decrease, which would imply an increase in funding for the same reasons as previously stated. And another one is level services with enhancements. Now, I do want to say that, level services is what I was prepared to recommend to you this evening. I don't think we should level fund, because I don't think the town would want or expect a decrease in services. But I think it would be good for you to have a discussion about whether it should be which one of those 3 levels, but also consider whether, is level services a defined enough terminology so that, for example, I know that there is additional labor needed in at least one area, and that's in Department of Public Works, because they've been tasked with additional duties that doesn't provide them enough labor to provide all those services that we keep adding on to them. So that's an area where they need another half a position. So if by defining it as level services, that would kick that out, then I would suggest that you consider level service with minor enhancements. So anyways, I give that to you to discuss and decide.
Oh, you want to do, okay, all right. I didn't know if you want to go through the whole presentation, we'll do it in pieces.
It's up to you. I'm fine.
Why don't we
either
do it
way.
as we go along? I think for me, makes more sense.
My concern is almost every year we've been adding more and more and more staff. Are we really looking to see if there are efficiencies elsewhere that we can get? I am all for improving our services, but at the same time, we can't sustain at this level where we keep increasing year over year. So I don't want to crush right off the bat.
Right.
Mike, I am not convinced. What are the additional services and how can we make it work? At least that's where I am right now. You would have to convince me otherwise.
Right, and that makes total sense. And that's why, I came prepared to talk about a level services budget, because that's what I think the town needs right now, is level services, not decreased funding, not more services. But I think there are areas where we need additional labor to provide the same services. So what I would suggest is maybe consider, the Finance Committee has given some preliminary guidance. They want to see the school budget assessment to Boxborough increase no more than 6%. And they've also given guidance to me for the town side to not increase by any more than 5%. And that's over last year. 6% over last year for the school assessment, 5% over last year for the town departments. What I would suggest is that maybe we consider level services, as long as we can maintain the services, and keep it within the 5% that FinCom is suggesting. Because I'm always looking to create efficiencies, and we've been able to do that over the last 2 years, and I would like to continue doing that, but I would like to be able to use some of those efficiencies to fill in areas where I see we have gaps. And one I just identified, which is the unskilled laborers within DPW. I think we've stretched them so thin that they're not providing the same level of service in areas where we need them, like maintaining the fields. So but I totally understand what you're saying, and I'm coming from the same place. I don't want to see us add people and add overhead to our
So
budget.
what increased with the DPW? Why are we needing the extra, I don't want to go into the nitty-gritty, but like, I'm just trying to understand.
Sure. One of the last ones that happened was that we tasked one of the DPW employees to drive the solid waste truck to, I don't even know where it is, but it's a long ways away. He's gone for a couple hours, a couple times a week. Where is it?
I think it's Beverly.
Beverly. And so it saved the town significant money by not having someone else come and pick that up. In fact, enough so that it paid for the truck within a short period of time that the town purchased to do so. But it pulls that driver away for several hours, a couple times a week. So that's one area where we've lost an employee. There are a couple others. I mean, they're always being tasked with more work than I think their 8 employees can sustain.
Buildings and grounds.
Oh, yeah, thank you. And the other major one, actually the most recent, is building and grounds. So Fran Flynn is our building and grounds manager, and so he was a DPW employee. He mowed fields, he kept up grounds, he plowed snow. His full-time job now is maintaining our facilities. So he's taken on, over the last 2 years, he's taken on much of the preventative maintenance that had not been done for many years because we didn't have somebody to do it. Not only did we didn't have the person, and even and we didn't really have somebody identified with the skills. He has the skills, but he does that 40 hours a week now. So he's no longer a person who can do the other jobs that DPW requires. So that's really 1.5 people that are taken away from the basic functions of DPW. And that's one example where I'd like to, as I continue to look for efficiencies within our departments and within the town, I'd like to use some of those efficiencies to fill, critical areas, and this is one of them that I've identified as
Do
critical.
you see that 40 hours being sustained in terms of maintaining the facilities?
Yeah, absolutely. There's still a lot that needs to be done. What he's been doing so far is.
I know, but like, we haven't done it for a long time, so maybe now it takes a lot longer to bring it up to speed, but like, once you get to a good steady state, do you still need that 40 hours? This was my question, so.
I would equate that to owning a house. Just when you think you're done with the last project, there's another one.
There is,
Well,
but
only
like,
'cause all
we
of our
haven't
buildings
done
are
it for
older.
10 years, right?
No, but I
That's-
think the other piece of it is none of our buildings are new, so there is always going to be maintenance and especially preventative maintenance.
I'm
Yeah,
not denying that.
Right.
But like right now, he's not only doing the preventative, but also the
There's
the
no
things
way to
that we
know,
haven't-
Priya, though. I don't know when the roof's gonna spring a leak. I don't know when the trim is gonna rot. I think that I am taking our experts saying we need a full-time person to manage this in order to maintain our aging buildings. And so that's where I'm taking it from, is I'm trusting what they're telling me,
And
so.
also
And I-
just
and I
even
think-
with,
Excuse me, I'm sorry, the only other thing I'll add is like, is he accomplishing within 40 hours all of the preventative stuff that should be done? Maybe he's not even getting the complete preventative that should be done, and that's, I'll add to that.
and also even with a lot of the upcoming projects we have going on in town, like Steel Farm, the library, the museum, like Fran's been involved with pretty much every project.
Yeah, I mean,
No, you're right.
I'm ready to like say yes to everything, but these are questions that the people in
Yeah.
town would want to be asked.
Well, and
So
remember, this is
that's
just
why
the-
I'm bringing it up.
This is also just the overview. When
You know?
Ed comes in to speak to it, because an additional employee will be a warrant article, And, we'll also be looking at the budget. It's an awesome opportunity, asking these questions now, lets Ed be prepared to answer. So I think it's great to get the question on the table, but I don't think we can answer it tonight.
And just, Mike, a real quick question before you start, and I apologize. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you're suggesting that we add a person and a half.
No, he said a half
No,
person.
a half person.
Half
So-
person, okay? Or that answers my question then. Because.
Well, that was easy.
Yeah, because my question was, if we're adding the half person, that would still be in the 5% of what you're looking for a budget for a goal? Or would
That's,
that be above the 5%?
that would be my goal, is to keep it within the 5%.
Adding that half
Where you
person.
got the 1.5%, or the 1.5 people from, that's 1.5 people that we removed from dedicated DPW regular duties. So one at the transfer station, driving the truck,
Right.
half,
Yep.
and then one doing the facilities maintenance. I personally think they need another full-time employee. In talking that over with Ed, our DPW director, he said he can get by with a half a person. I think he needs one, but we know the way he operates. He always he's like myself, he's fiscally conservative, but he's always coming back saying, in fact, Bob, you commented at our last capital meeting, well, I can do this and I can weld this and put it together, and he does a fantastic job. But he's very responsible with the town's resources. And again, I was pushing for one person because I just see, I've had to turn down a number of things that they couldn't do. The most recent one I can think of, well, a couple actually. There's always places that are looking to be landscaped, like in front of Town Hall, the back of Town Hall, that both used to be done by the Garden Club. This corner at Liberty Square, they used to be done by the Garden Club. Well, the Garden Club is getting away from doing that. The folks, they're moving on, we don't have people replacing them. But it's one where I can't have DPW doing it because they don't have the staff to do it. But the other one is, as we're wrapping up the work at Liberty Field, we had picnic tables delivered, pavilion parts delivered, and so as it was coming, I was asked, can you have DPW? Actually, the email came to Ed and I. Can you have them unload the truck and assemble the tables and all this? And I said they can't. And this was the end of the summer, and I said they just can't. I know how stretched out they are. And so it was just one where, I'd say, and it cost us over $30,000 additional to have the company's labor unload the truck and assemble the tables and all that, but it's just something we had to do. And I just, I needed them doing their DPW work. And
The select board would have gotten out our ratchets. We would have been there with our ratchets, right, you guys? 30 grand. Oh, my gosh. Okay, all right.
so anyways, that's just one example.
I just want to make sure that,
Yeah.
you have to also understand, it's not just one person, right? Additional person, it's their benefits, it's their pension, so
Well,
it's.
if it's a half person, they don't get benefits.
No, yeah, half person not, but
Well,
if it's one.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, let's, remember, this is an overview, so these are great questions to get out there. We probably don't need to spend a ton of time back and forth until we have more information from the department heads, whatever it is coming in.
Yep.
I think what Mike is asking right now is, FinCom has suggested stay within 5%. He, when we talked earlier, he was definitely suggesting level services, understanding that we will go up that 5%, maintain our services, and perhaps we'll be able to wrap some other things in there based on efficiencies. So I'm prepared to recommend that you move forward, with the level service. But, other thoughts?
No, I agree with you.
What's that, Wes?
I was just gonna say, I'm inclined to do level services with the minor enhancements, because at least in my 6, maybe 7 years, Ed has not really asked for much of anything, and most of the time, he ends up asking for it and then walking it back. And so, if we're saying we're already impacting other things, well, yes, we're only really setting up Liberty Field once, hopefully. It's not gonna be the only thing where we do this, and on top of that, Ed's a really great department head, and so in my opinion, this would just be a way of supporting him in doing his work, because And we do want him to come back and continue as long as he can,
Yes.
because his contract is up in what, 2 years? Yeah.
18 months.
And so it's just something that we can do to show him that we support and appreciate him, and say like, look, this is a valid request, and it's a lot smaller than a lot of the other departments are asking for, so.
Well, I would like to ask Mike to do that within the 5% increase that the FinCom has suggested. Because he can, I mean, he can stay with, if he's got a 5% increase, understanding we're gonna have labor costs and all that, it's possible that we can add a person with 5%. The half a person would be a warrant article to start, so we'd be factoring it in for next year. But so please know, I'm in favor of the half-time person. I'm just saying, let's try to stay with the 5%. If the board wants to say level service with minor enhancements, I think we probably ought to put some kind of a parameter on minor enhancements, so.
Well, and that's my thought too, and because it was almost like a new category.
Yeah,
Minor
no, because I do
enhancements-
agree. I
Minor
agree with you,
enhancements for
Wes.
Ed, right? But I mean, minor enhancements to the police.
Unless
but
somebody else
minor
can
enhan-
come in.
Right, so it's got, so
Yeah.
I guess, you know, I'm interested in seeing, you know, the level services, but I'm also interested in hearing more if there's some case to be made. I don't wanna say, I don't wanna, I hear what both of you are saying, keep it level and, you know, keep it level services.
No, I'm saying keep it level and find a half a person, damn it.
Right, yeah, exactly, but if you can't and we really need it, then come back to us. So I'm creating a fourth one here. It's like,
A fourth
talk to us,
category. How do you
talk to
feel,
us
Mike?
about the enhancements.
I would like to actually, you know, I came prepared to ask for level services, and that was what was in the, not in this, because I changed it just 5 minutes before this meeting. But in the deck that I put in your packet, it was recommending level services. Because to me, you know, adding hours for a person in there to fill the services that they're already delivering, that's not enhancements. That's keeping level services.
Yeah.
So that's really what I would advocate for, is just tell me level services with the understanding that we are doing everything we can to keep the level services that we had. Not add new things, not add a lot of money, but to try to keep up with the level services that we have been providing. But I kind of threw in with enhancements, because I think there was some misunderstanding last year that, you know, as we were trying to do things just to keep what we had, people said, oh no, you're adding stuff. Well, this would be, you know, it may be adding, you know, 19 hours to that department, but it's not adding services. They're not delivering a new service or additional services of what they already do. It's trying to keep up with what they're already expected to do.
Thoughts?
I just would like to keep it level service with the 5%, what the FinCom recommended. I think we need to give, they probably have more in-depth knowledge about this, and if they recommended that, I'm supporting that.
I'm with Priya on that as well. The only thing I'm with Dave on the other side. If we can get one full-time employee at 5%, that's where I'd like to be. That's where I'd like to be. If we can do that.
So, quick question, and now I'm in the weeds. Now you guys push me in the weeds. All right, so you talked about, we've got an employee driving the trash to where it needs to go and coming back, and in terms of, it helped pay for the truck, and we created an efficiency. Is that money still in this year's budget?
No.
It was taken out last
It
year?
was a couple of years ago.
A couple of years ago. Oh, darn it, okay.
Right.
All right, okay.
But
Because I was
each-
thinking maybe we found the money. That would have been way too easy, right?
So each of the last 2 years, we've been able to find efficiencies, for example, by condensing departments, you know, by bringing,
Right.
you know, a number of small departments and a number of different employees into one position or under one department head. Last year, we also went to regional dispatch, which saved us, you know, significant millions of dollars. And so I'm just looking, as I continue to explore, you know, for any efficient, and I don't know if the efficiencies are out there. I mean, we're certainly gonna look. The other thing is that I don't know that I can deliver a budget that stays under a 5% increase. That's the goal, and I'm determined to do that. And if it's possible, we're gonna do that. So I don't even know if we can. If we can come in at 4%, I would love to do that. I don't know. I think that's unreachable, but I'm hoping the 5%. So I don't want to promise you I'm definitely going to be on the 5%, because I don't know that yet. Because we're still very early. Hung-Hwa and I are still going over the budgets, and then we'll be meeting with each of the department heads. This is actually earlier than we've ever delivered the budget. Usually it's, after Christmas. Last year we did it just before Christmas because we didn't want to go between the holidays. So I don't want to give anybody the impression that, hey, we're there, we're already under 5%, and I'm looking ways to spend, the extra money. I don't even know if I can get to the 5%, but that's the goal.
So here's my thought, you guys. I'm inclined to say level services with minor enhancements, because we have lots of opportunity to make changes as we go through, because we don't have a ton of information right now. But I don't want Mike to not look at those minor enhancements because we haven't authorized him to. Do you know what I'm saying?
Ties his
And
hands.
then, because we have plenty of time to make decisions about what services we need to be managing and what we can possibly do without.
He can still look, but I don't know if we should like approve that now.
Well, we're not. We're giving him guidance on what to do. We're giving him guidance on how to plan the budget. We're not approving anything. And again, that also gives the department heads a chance to come in and defend their positions, meaning, not positions, but defend their needs. And then we get to make policy decisions at that point. But this is just guidance, like an overview for you to be able to
Right.
move forward.
And it's not really anything different than we've done in the past. So last year, we had a level services budget guidance. We came to town meeting with one position that was moved up to a director level position, that was human services, but that went on the warrant as an article. So the town meeting got to vote individually on that. Same with the recreation coordinator position. That was, what you consider an enhancement, but it wasn't put into the operating budget. It went as an individual article that the townspeople can vote up or down. But at least, I know, and I think last year went fine. I think, people saw it and they were able to vote it, and they overwhelmingly both passed. But I just wanted to have this conversation to avoid people thinking that, well, I'm slipping something in because they think level services means absolutely no change. It shouldn't be. It should be no extraordinary extra cost. We shouldn't be adding, outside the
A
parameters.
pool, an outdoor pool. We're adding a pool this year. No, just
Right.
kidding. No, and I will say, part of this came from Mike's and my discussion as we prepared for tonight, was just being crystal clear what he's working on, so there are there's less misinformation circling as we head into the budget season. So, because one of the things I pointed out is everything that was in the warrant last year is now in the budget. Because those two new positions were outside, now they're inside. And if we do a half-time position, we'll have that opportunity in the warrant, then it's gonna get moved in. And that was one of my concerns for Mike, is that we'd be super transparent about that. So I'm just gonna make the motion. I move to authorize the FY '26 budget policy guidance of level services with minor enhancements. Then we can vote it up or down. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion about this? Any public input on this?
Oh,
Oh, we got one.
we got one.
We got a live one!
I just have one quick comment, which is there's level service, which is a great way to create the fiscal guidance, the financial guidance of 5%. But then I think within Mike's purview, he should be able to look at that and say, there are enhancements that we want, and there are other efficiencies that we can create.
Right.
So,
Yes.
Right.
those enhancements fit in what is equivalent to a level services budget, which is this year's budget plus the increases.
Which is
We've
what
seen
I'm-
that.
right, which is what I was kind of asking, saying, can you, can you get a full-time person, not a half-time person, within the 5%? And then Mike said, well, I'm not at 5%, and I can appreciate that, but
Yeah.
that's exactly what I was.
Yeah, and I think the town's done a great job doing that in the past, looking at some of the mowing work that DPW did and said, some of this we could get done more efficiently with an outside contractor, or there are other opportunities, I'm sure, to look at things. And maybe you have to decide an additional FTE in the DPW is important, and there's something else that isn't as important that could get, that the community wouldn't value as highly as that, and you can take that away.
Sure.
That's what I hope Mike gets to bring to the committees.
That was much more eloquent than what I was trying to, process and present. But that's exactly what I'm saying. Try to stay within 5%, do your best, come back and tell us what we need. Yeah. And are there efficiencies that we can create?
Kristen, we have the FinCom there. Does any of them want to comment?
Well, I
would
did
like to-
ask.
Looks
Anybody?
like Tony's got his hand up.
Oh, there's
Tony.
Tony.
Come on, Tony.
I need you guys, because that just looks like schmear up there to me. I need glasses, I admit.
So,
It's not- yeah.
yes, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
So my question is really about the DPW then. We're into the weeds a bit here, and I think it's probably a discussion more for Budget Saturday, but I'm just thinking that if there have been changes made where we've made efficiencies by having our guy drive the truck to the, to the trash place. Where's that saving elsewhere? And can we document that somehow? Because I think we risk having sort of mission creep of adding people for things which we say are good to have, but can't point to where the savings were elsewhere. And I think if we can have a sort of like a historical look at that over maybe 5 years about what has been the staffing, where have we made improvements, and where have we made savings, so we can see the bigger picture rather than just a one year at a time picture.
So, I'm sorry, Tony, did you say do a 5-year? Because Mike did mention that happened a few years ago.
Look back, really.
Sure.
If DPW is saying, well, we've made these changes, we've added people to do various things, like drive the truck to the dump or whatever, where is the saving on that? There's a saving somewhere else, presumably on dollars we were paying to the trucking company. I'd like to see where that savings took place, historically, to show that it was a worthwhile switch to make.
Sure. No, that makes good sense. And even things like it's an opportunity for all the department heads, not just DPW, to come in and talk about the efficiencies they have created within the department. It's an opportunity to educate all of us too.
Right, and it's just good, to go back a couple of years to say what has been put in place, and these are the efficiencies we're now recognizing because of those changes that were done 1, 2, 3 years ago.
What immediately comes to mind is library and DPW. They at least in the couple of years I've been back more involved, they consistently step back and they consistently say, okay, we're going to put other needs ahead of us, public safety and all that. And I think that as we've gotten public safety to a place that, we've got staffing consistent, we're moving forward with those things, it is time to kind of look at our whole big picture again. Because there's no question, for this board anyway, public safety has been the #1 focus. So it's kind of being cognizant of everything else I think is important.
But we can't look at 1 year in isolation. We have to look at a number of years if those things have taken place in the past, so we can see what was the impact of that staffing change.
Absolutely, I agree.
Tony, are you comfortable with then, like what we are saying in terms of level service with minor enhancements?
Sure, yeah. I think that makes sense. That's what we did last year, actually.
Okay.
It's the same thing. I think there are definitely places where we can, with some prudent increases, make an appropriate increase in services. I think that's fine. Staying within our sort of like model guidelines. But so I'm fine with that.
Excellent. Okay. Any other public comment or anybody else on Zoom? I don't see any more. All right, motion on the table. Are we ready to vote?
Yep.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? All right, you have your marching orders, and we get to move to the next slide.
Okay, but not yet.
Okay.
We're only 2 bullets down.
Damn it.
But thank you for that.
The next bullet.
Point of order.
So that's great. So we have our direction now, and which was the early on direction that I had given to the department heads, other than, we didn't include the language enhancements. We told them level services. So, part of our job this year is to continue on the path of stabilization, being fiscally conservative with our financial reserves, continuing to budget into OPEB, which is a large unfunded liability. And then one of the things that will be getting adopted into the town's financial policies, and you've already approved the language, as has the FinCom, is once OPEB trust is fully funded, then start targeting with the same sort of tenacity the unfunded pension liability, which is actually larger. Once those two are paid off, which will be years down the road, then it really creates opportunities to either save or fund other necessities within the infrastructure of the town. So that's really a good financial measure. Focus on infrastructure investments. For example, over the last couple of years, we have wisely invested in the Haggerwell chlorination project. We are right now in the process of upgrading the fuel tanks, things like that are necessary and expensive, but they're good for the town, they're good for risk management. You know, again, working on the conservative operating budget, and then protecting the town's good financial position, AAA bond rated, and then again, managing risk.
I'm sorry, Mike, are we still AAA rated?
Yes,
Yeah,
And that is the best you can be, correct?
it is.
Just want to make sure everybody knows that. Well, you know, in baseball, AAA is not the best. So, just saying. Well, I don't think anyway. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay, so the goal is just to work within the policy guidance. That's what we'll continue to march towards. To continue delivering high-quality public services, to attract and retain high-quality staff, to set sustainable and predictable fiscal trajectory as we are, and increase the effectiveness and efficiency of the service we're currently delivering by any means possible, and then maintain a desirable place to live and do business. The assumptions that have gone into this budget to this point are that we will continue to fund this year OPEB at the recommended $300,000 per year, funding the reserves at 0.6% of the operating budget. Going along with FinCom's recommendation, the school assessment going up a maximum of 6%, and the town budget going up a maximum of 5%. Assumptions we're using are that the healthcare increases will be going up by 10%, and the property and liability increases are going up by 5%.
Mike, I want to hold your
Yes.
thought there. Since I
Yeah.
have Adam, are we
I
on
know.
track for the 6%?
What are the chances?
Gosh, there were a whole lot of eyes burning into me that, yeah, we are going to be under 6% most likely. It looks like the limiting factor is that the school committee set an overall budget increase for the district at 3%, and then a 3% budget increase for the district. The assessment to Boxborough will be under 6%.
So that includes the fact that our rolling enrollment is up, and
Yep.
that
That's great.
wonderful news.
That's fantastic news.
You weren't vomiting or anything, so I figured we were okay.
Mike, just one quick, Rajan, the 10%, is that realistic? I mean, you're pretty close with the increase for healthcare.
Yeah, because our retiree insurance went up a significant amount, and a part of it isn't based on, it's factors outside of us. When we met with our rep at Maya, a big portion of it's going up because of just the federal changes for health and for healthcare, as well as for prescription costs going up. And a big part of that is because of like the GLP-1 drugs and how those costs have increased. They're putting a lot of that cost back on.
I don't know, did you say GLP-1?
Like
I don't know what that is.
Ozempic, Wegovy.
Oh, okay.
Like, because those prescription drugs are like actively given out more and more, and a lot more doctors are prescribing them. It's increasing prescription healthcare costs. So.
You know, because my question was on really the opposite way. Is 10% high enough? I'm hearing some of the private factors are going up 15 to 18%.
So we think it is.
And that's why I was questioning the 10.
And
Yeah.
all
So
the more reason why I'm worried.
Well, no, you're right.
Right? About
But that's why I
extra.
asked about
So
the
this is-
10%, because, right, because if the private sectors are going to 15, 18%, and your estimate is 10%, I'm gonna go, great, I'd like 10%, from what I'm seeing.
Yeah, we won't know until next month over at the MMA meeting when Maya holds their annual meeting to give us the update on what would be the estimated increase for health insurance.
But everything you're seeing, 10% is a good number.
When I talked to our rep about health insurance, like what should we estimate at, she gave us at least 10% just to.
Great.
It's going to be interesting with the new administration coming in and with the horrible thing that happened with the United Healthcare CEO and the pushback on insurance companies. It will be interesting to see what the new administration coming in does to put some pressure on that. Because the American healthcare system is financially out of whack. So.
I think it would take something significant between last month and next month to change these numbers significantly. I've been working with Maya communities for over a dozen years, and we get our predictions on these each year. And fortunately, the town moved to Maya with the healthcare. We had already been with them for our property and liability. And every year we go out to Maya and ask them, we're budgeting now, and this is, starting in like October, September, October, what do we need to use for a number? And they've done a good job of giving us a conservative number without being overly conservative each year. So I think it would take something significant within a 2-month period for them to go higher than the 5 or 10%. So I think we're in good shape there.
Okay.
Okay, so the first bullet is probably an understatement. This is a big year for our capital needs.
That's why I'm giggling. I'm like,
On many fronts.
Priya's point.
Priya's like,
Yeah. So there's,
what didn't you get?
obviously, equipment, trucks, vehicles, maintenance of buildings, roofs, et cetera, and the need for a new building coming up. So that certainly, adds to a challenging year already. The next big challenge is that we have all of our unions currently in negotiation, and we won't know for several months where we are on that. But, we're meeting with them weekly. So, we'll have an update for the select board in executive session, probably the end of next month.
You panicked me. I'm like, there is no executive session
Not
on this.
tonight.
Sorry, okay, I'm good.
We're hoping to have something for you by the end of next month, if not early February.
Okay.
Another challenge is that we have been relying heavily on ARPA for infrastructure upkeep. And while we will still have money going into the next year, we can't commit anymore. So we have until the end of this month to commit ARPA funds, which we have.
I thought we were done with that, no?
Well,
Did you already commit everything? Do not leave $1 on the table.
It's all, pretty much all committed, but I've got a couple of contracts I've got to get signed, but I've got to receive them first by the end of this month.
Oh, Lordy.
And then we have another 2 years to spend them. So we're in good shape with that. But the challenge is, if we have something come up like, say, the fuel tanks, that was a couple $100,000 thing that we had to mitigate, and fortunately, we had ARPA money to help with that.
Right.
If we have one of those, gotchas come up in the next year or two, we've got to figure it out on our own, unless there's grant, programs out there.
Sure.
So that's a challenge, but no more of a challenge than we had before ARPA existed. Before 4 years ago, we didn't have that. So, and we found ways to get through it.
Yep.
Another is the ripple effect that we're feeling from the closure of Neshoba Valley Hospital. The main impact financially on the town for that is with the fire department, with the emergency medical services. So what that means is longer, even though we're equidistant from Emerson and Neshoba Valley, with Neshoba Valley closing, that means the wait times at Emerson are longer. So when they're filled up, that means sometimes we have to go to Worcester or Marlborough or somewhere else, Leominster. And that means that our EMTs are away from the station longer, the vehicle runs are longer, the fuel, the cost of that is all going up. We're looking at, and working with our other surrounding communities and the legislature and the state to see, is there some help with those labor costs that we're incurring, because we're getting into overtime costs. And so we're working on that.
So, where we had Jamie and Dan last week, I know we had talked about sending some written communication to them. Let's make sure that's a priority. I think we had talked about the fire chief communicating with them and really putting forward our concerns.
We did.
Good.
And
Thank you.
I'm in the
I
process.
didn't want to put I'm like, did
No.
you do it yet?
No, actually, your timing is perfect.
Okay.
Because, so as Senator Eldridge indicated, they won't go back into session until the new year on this.
Right.
Although a couple of the speakers last week were hoping that they could get them back into session, but they're not going to do that. They're going to go back into regular session, which is
Okay.
the new session starting in January. At your next meeting on January 13th, I'm going to have a draft letter for you to look at and see if you're ready for me to send that to the legislature. And they have indicated that will not be too late getting that to them by the end of January.
Okay.
And urging them for some assistance on that front.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And then, another challenge is we have seen new growth come down year after year. Last year, we did some big projects that were still wrapping up. Those are about wrapped up, and we don't have a lot of new permits coming in. You heard when our assessor, Kelly Sozik, presented to you a couple of months ago that we only had one new home built last year in Boxborough. We're seeing a lot of decks and
Yeah.
additions, bathroom renovations, stuff like that, and that's great, and we hope we get a lot more of that, but new homes are not coming in by the droves. Same with large commercial development. And I'm glad that you agreed to look, at some TAP grants for the economic development. I think that's really important, because that's going to be the relief the taxpayers need, is some appropriate commercial development into the out years to help. Another challenge, and this is not a new one, it's just a continued challenge, and that's the cost of vocational school tuition and transportation costs, especially since we're not yet a member community of one of vocational schools. We're getting good signals from Neshoba Tech, but it's a process, just like getting into regional dispatch,
Yeah.
getting into, the school in Westford, they would cover our transportation costs, and we would have a better tuition cost, but we're still a ways out. That won't happen in this coming fiscal year.
So my understanding is all the member towns need to have it on their town meeting warrant this year, and do we know if all the member towns have agreed to put it on their warrant? Or we don't know?
We haven't even gotten that far.
Haven't gotten that far
That's
yet.
kind of like towards
Oh.
the end of it.
So it
portion
could
of
be next year that it gets on there. Oh, boy. Okay.
Yeah, and
All right.
they did say when the three of us met with them that it's a 2-year process
Right.
to get in.
Was it only a
And
year
we're
ago?
only- it wasn't
I'm like,
even.
isn't it 2 years?
It wasn't
Yeah.
even. It was only the spring, so we
All
still got
right.
another year and a half or so.
Feels like
to
so
go.
long ago.
It does.
Okay, all right.
So that really wouldn't be
Fiscal
until
year 27.
28. If it's not gonna be 27,
Oh,
which
it'd
is
be
next
28,
year.
you're right.
You guys are saying it could be 2 years out before it hits ours, so that would be potentially fiscal year 28 for us.
Yeah, so we're still gonna have this challenge for a while.
Yuck.
Well, it's also, I just feel badly for the kids that
Well,
want to
that's
go
what
to
I'm
town.
saying, yeah, that's what I'm saying, yuck about it,
Right.
exactly. We're not able to solidify that choice for them right now.
Right. So, all right, okay, moving on.
So, I actually feel badly about putting numbers on this slide, because these numbers are gonna change. We're early in the revenue projections, we're early at evaluating the expenses, but I wanted to at least give you a scope of what we're looking at. So, currently, our expenses are less than our revenues, that's a good thing. That doesn't necessarily mean that the budget's balanced, because as we know, we put a lot of things in this town into the warrant as individual articles. And actually, for capital, that's, if you looked at our early capital planning document, it was over $5 million in capital. We've taken some stuff that we know isn't gonna happen this year out, and then we've removed the bonding, so you're still looking at, $1.5 million in capital. Again, the capital committee is gonna meet Thursday. We'll talk a little bit more about that and have more definition into next month on what we're looking at. And I put free cash there, but I mean, we're not even to the point of talking about where things are gonna be funded from. But I wanted to give you an idea of what I'm looking at least on a preliminary basis.
Well, I was just laughing, saying, okay, so we have $17,000 after that. Yeah. That we can play with.
Right.
The
But
big $17,000.
until you see the next slide.
Okay, all right.
So, right now, we've got about $500,000 in town meeting articles on the warrant, and those are non-bonded, non-CPC funded articles. And this does not include the land or funding for design for a fire station, so that's on top of that. So it is a challenging year. So this is where I say, you see, we're not quite balanced, because if you include the town meeting articles, we're still a little bit out of balance. But again, we're early, So in summary, the goal is to keep, school under 6% increase from last year, town under 5% from last year. Major drivers, we've already talked about, insurance, school budget, but we just heard a great report from Adam tonight that they're on target, and we're gonna continue to try to keep the town on target as well. And then the last one is the CBAs, which is the collective bargaining agreements with our unions. And we won't know for several months where we are with those, although we're gonna work really hard with the unions to come to agreements that are beneficial to the employees and to the taxpayers here in town. And then the $83,000 imbalance, which again is not a real number, but it's just an example of where we're headed. Those are things that we're gonna try to address with additional use of free cash, cuts to operating budgets, and looking for additional revenue streams or identified revenues that we haven't already, put into the budget. And this is the last slide. So I'm gonna read those numbers because it's challenging from where you're sitting. But basically, administration and finance are combined here at a 4%. Land use is at 1%. Public safety, which is combining dispatch, police, and fire at 12%. School at 59%. Public works at 3%. Culture, health, and human services, which includes the library, at 3%. And then town overhead, which is 18%. And so town overhead includes things like insurance, legal, let's see, reserves, IT, a lot of those other things that aren't within individual department budgets. So that's how where we are in general. Questions?
Is this any different from other years, Mike, in terms of like the split between, like, I'm looking at the big major ones, right? Like
It's
between
not.
public safety, town overhead, and school.
It's not. It's very close to past years. I think last year, the school split was around 58%, so we're pretty close. Public safety is about the same, DPW is about the same. I've broken it out a little differently, combined some, departments into cost centers, which you a lot of times do with library and health and human services, public safety, put them all together. But no, it's not that different from last year or the year before.
Is this something that would there be any virtue, or would it help at all if we did go back a few years, kind of echoing what Tony had said earlier, kind of getting this long-term view of the breakdowns? Like, would it matter to anybody? In other words, is it
It would
worth
be
staff
nice.
time to do it?
It would be nice. I mean, I'll ask Howard is that possible, or Mike, is that possible? Could we go back matching?
Using your new groups.
It is possible. Yeah, absolutely. We have all those numbers, and we can put them up next to each other so you can see those breakdowns.
I think it would really help understanding the evolution of the services we're providing to the
Right,
town.
to Priya's point,
Yeah.
what has shifted from year to year?
Right.
Has there been any great shift in the past 4 years? I would like to see at least 3 years, if not 5 years, if you guys can do that, so we can get a real sense of what's going on. And, I think the biggest thing is, I think, Tony will jump in on this one. As much as they're accurate, we don't want any estimates of what they were 3 years ago. If you have hard numbers from 3-4 years ago, that's really what we want to see.
We do, and in general, when we go in and present to the finance committee, they have a 3-year look. So they're gonna see what we're projecting for this year, where we are in the current year, and then the last year. So you get a 3-year trend for each department, for each budget, and for the town.
Good.
Great,
So, and you'll see that on Budget Saturday as well.
thank you.
Any
Any
other
other?
questions?
Any from the public? All right, seeing none, there's no motion needed on this one. We can move right into our STM
Yes.
draft warrant. Look at us! All of you that think our meetings take too long, we are on schedule. And I have just jinxed us. Horribly so. I will do my best not to talk too much. Hey, hey.
I have the, I think I have the packet up with the, I can share it.
Okay.
I need some more water. I'll be right back, but don't wait for me. Go ahead and jump right in. Because I'm assuming you're gonna lead us through the articles?
Sure.
Awesome.
Okay, so special town meeting, as we discussed before, has been changed to March 18th, Blanchard School. And we have, I believe we have 10 articles. So the first article is one that you voted on
Sorry.
a couple of meetings ago, and that was an error that was discovered in the Community Preservation Fund accounting. And that resulted in no loss of money, no loss of project funding or anything like that. It was just money was put into the wrong category, and Hunghwa worked with the state to get that corrected. You voted on it, the CPC committee voted on it. I sent them a letter saying that we would take this to town meeting. With that, they allowed us to set our tax rate in November, and this is the next step in that, to take that almost $71,000 that was put into budgeted reserves and move it over to the other category, and that satisfies what the state needs for us to, just move forward. So that's Article 1.
So question for the board, do we want to vote things as we move forward right now? Like for instance, we already discussed this and voted it. Would you like to go ahead and vote this now or vote all of them later?
I'd rather do this one. I mean, let's do,
Yeah.
let's.
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
know-
because then we
I was
can
gonna
check
ask the
off
same
the to-do
question. I
list.
wasn't sure how this was playing.
Yeah,
but
then we can check off our to-do list.
Perfect, yeah.
All right, so I don't have motions, so,
Kristen,
Yes.
one other thing,
Yeah.
like while we are voting, should we also decide who's gonna do the recommendation simultaneously? And
Yep.
if there is a recommendation needed?
Yep.
Because
Yes.
sometimes we can just say,
See above.
yeah,
yeah. No,
So
absolutely, let's do, my feeling is it's gonna be more efficient in the long run.
yeah.
Okay, I'm on it.
Yeah.
All right, so I move to approve the Community Preservation Fund Accounting Error Correction, Article 1 of STM.
Second,
I'm sorry, recommend, I move to recommend, not approve, sorry. Do you accept my amended motion?
as amended, second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of recommending, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain. All right. Mike, do you think we need a select board recommendation on this one?
I don't think so. You've already recommended it. We've sent the letter to the state. Now we just need to, I mean, it can't hurt. To be honest, it can't hurt though, because the town sees, if they're confused by it and they see select board recommends it, FinCom recommends it, why not?
Yeah.
But I don't think it's
Who's the
necessary, but it
CPC
can't hurt.
Who's the CPC liaison? Sorry, I don't remember. Oh, maybe it's me.
Okay, you stepped in that one.
Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna go home now. All right, I will write a recommendation. Okay. Well, you did such a good job. They don't need me. John Fallon is like rolling his eyes right now. All right. Okay, I'll write that one.
And that should be an easy one. I can help you
Yeah,
write
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'll just make sure it's really clear. Yep.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Next
Moving on.
one, there are 2 new mowers needed for next year. One of them is Article 2. So this is an 11-foot winged mower, the largest mower that DPW has. It takes care of many of the fields. And the reason this one is on the special, not the annual, is because it's really critical that this mower is ready to take care of the fields so that sports can start on time, so the summer program can start. And this one has several months lead time to get it. So that's why we want to do this in March, so that as soon as spring comes, they can use it. The other mower is less expensive, it's smaller, it's a 52-inch mower, but they can go and get it, in pretty short order. So that's why this one is on here. It's to replace a mower that's 12 years old, and they no longer can get the parts for it, so it's currently unusable, and they'll probably sell it for scrap, because it just can't be maintained anymore.
And Mike, just real quick, I don't know if you have the answer or not, or we have to go to that. I understand everything you just said, and it's to get the fields in shape for the summer athletics. And my question is, the summer athletics, we actually get money for those. Is that correct, from out of town and in clubs? Is that still true or not true?
Well, I think that one of them we waive the fees for, or it traditionally has been. I think that's soccer.
Yeah.
Am I correct? It's soccer, and the reason was because soccer puts a lot of money into maintenance of those fields. And that's why they've been waived in the past. Baseball, less so, and I don't think all of their fees are waived.
So there is some offset to the $112,000 as far as revenue received to the town.
I don't know that would go into capital so much, but
That goes
if so-
to the
Rec
RecCom,
com.
right?
Right,
The RecCom collect that
And
money.
it
so
would be
that's-
pretty, it would be pretty minimal, the revenue.
all right.
And this is something that I do want to revisit this year, because I think it's time that we, in fact, I wanted to do it earlier in this year, is to look at our fees and structure, including field rentals, because I think there are some missed opportunities with revenues.
Right. Okay. When I was earlier when I was on the select board, that was the whole hot button of what, school athletics, we did not charge back then. We did
Right.
not charge school athletic. But if a club, if there was a club that wanted to use the fields, we did charge them at that time. And that's why I was just asking the question. So
Right.
if you could do anything with that, that'd be
Yeah,
great.
you're correct, the school athletics don't, but even the youth soccer in the past, I don't know for how many years, but they have waived the fees for that. The funding that I'm gonna recommend for this one is, right here, it's got all, it's got raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds, borrow, et cetera, et cetera. I'm gonna recommend that FinCom consider free cash for this. It's a one-time capital expense. We have the free cash. I think this is a good place to use free cash. But, that will be a discussion for Budget Saturday. So I suspect, or at least that's what I would recommend we fund it out of.
And I'm assuming the 115,000 has already gone out for bid, and this is the best price we can get for that.
It is not. This is based on an estimate. So this doesn't have to go out to bid, because they can get it on pretty short order. But I'll have Ed verify before Budget Saturday that that's still a good price, that hasn't gone up since he gave us that price, in November.
Okay.
So I'm gonna suggest we don't vote this one until we know the number. Thoughts?
And where it's coming from.
Right,
too.
and the funding source, so we'll
So-
hold on to this one. Alrighty,
The
next.
third
what?
article is for OPEB funding. If-
Oh, what, I'm sorry.
Who will be doing the recommendations for that? I know we are not voting on it, but
I'll sign up for that one.
All right, Dave's got it.
We can work our way down,
Okay.
down the table.
I like that. All right, Bob, you're up.
I love the fact that you looked forward in the agenda, and not only are we taking care of 4A, but 4B and C as well.
Yeah.
So by doing the recommendations and the votes, you're taking care of, a lot of,
No, it just, it makes sense. Thank
Yeah.
you, Priya, yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
so as you recall, we talked earlier in the budget presentation about the town's commitment to fund OPEB at $300,000 per year. That's what we had in the budget early in the year, last year. But we had some budget challenges and we had to make cuts. So we cut $100,000 out of the OPEB funding, with the understanding that if it was possible next year for the special town meeting, which we thought would have been in the fall, has now been moved to March, that we would go back and refund that other $100,000 that we cut. The town is in a good free cash position right now, so this one is in here, per that understanding from last year, so this isn't in place of annual town meeting, that 300,000, but it's to replenish the
Supplement.
100,000 that we cut.
So I think, it's really funny, because I wrote down, tell us why it's possible, because it was if possible. We're in a good free cash position. I guess my only concern is looking forward, do we need that free cash in May instead of right now? Because this is discretionary, it's not mandatory.
Correct.
So that's my only, so I would actually want to delay this one until we knew if we needed the money elsewhere. Because if we dedicate it, we don't have it.
Right, and we can certainly do that.
What are your thoughts, you guys?
I mean, it's not unreasonable to pay for OPEB. I don't really care where the money comes from, but we should cover our liabilities.
Well, no, I'm not saying that we shouldn't. I'm just saying that to take it out of free cash, we're planning on free cash to get us, help us avoid an override later.
What I'm saying is that the funding source is not gonna change my recommendation for it. And so if this is recommending it, regardless, I would be ready to recommend it regardless of the funding source.
And I think that's where I am too. Kristen, I understand your point, but I think if we can do the 300,000, well, this is for 100,000, put it back up.
Yeah, just 100,000. We're
Yeah,
only
right.
putting
To-
$100,000
Yeah,
back in.
to bring it to 300,000.
Right,
yeah.
right.
I would, again, I would agree with Wes that I would recommend this, and the source is important, and I think the FinCom can guide us on that.
I agree. It's kind of like paying off a debt, right? I mean, the money's there, we owe it, because we said we would borrow it and replace it. I think we could replace it.
Okay. Why doesn't someone make a motion then?
I'll move to recommend the Article 3, the supplemental OPEB funding.
Is
And I'll second it.
Excellent. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor of funding the I'm sorry, all in favor of recommending Article 3, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Me. I want to wait for the funding source, so I have a better understanding of the money.
Okay.
So that's the only reason I'm opposed, is because we don't have a funding source. So, abstain. All right, 4-1-0.
Okay.
What's that?
Okay, I thought we were amending that to say it was coming from free cash.
No,
We're
we
not.
don't have a funding source. It's just saying that we recommend that we put the $100,000 back regardless of the funding source, and I'm very uncomfortable doing that. That's what we just said.
Yeah,
Do you want to reconsider?
No, I think there's, I think we should do it. I think it needs to be done.
Yeah. I just want all the information, that's all. So,
No,
all
that's
right.
good. I appreciate that.
Yeah, 4-1-0. Who's gonna write it?
Was that abstain or?
No,
against?
I recommend against.
Okay.
Basically, I'm saying I'm not ready to say yes
Got it.
until I know where the money's coming from.
Understood, yeah.
So I'm a no.
Okay.
I can do it.
Wes, you'll do it?
Sure.
Okay. And I'm gonna suggest that as we get closer to town meeting and know where the funding source is, we'll reconsider the article, because I might change my vote.
That's
But
fine.
for now, I'm saying I'm not ready.
That's fine.
Perfect. Okay, Article 4 is the prudent investor article, and this is one that Tony and I briefed you on several meetings back. And after Naomi and Hung-Wah and Tony and I met with, I think Becky may have been there as well, met with our advisor from Bartholomew Investors. They recommended that we consider thinking about this prudent investor rule, which comes under Mass General Law, Chapter 203C, which allows us to move some of the funds into more diverse investments, which previously had not been allowed. So they're very super conservative with municipal funds because it's tax money. But now they have realized that there are better ways to invest the town's money, and so it's opened up some of these to a wider range of stocks and investments. So we've used the language that was given to us by the investor. I have checked, it's in accordance with Mass General Law, and this is what you previously voted on the language to send it to FinCom. They since have voted and agreed to this language. Now it's a matter of bringing it to town meeting so that we adopt this, and then our town treasurer can invest in this way, but not until it's adopted by town meeting.
What are your thoughts, guys?
I think that's awesome.
Peeps?
I think this is great.
This is
I really think the last line of the summary is the one that's appropriate. Where to read, I'll read it. Prudent investing does not
Increase the risk,
that
right?
does not inherently mean more risk in the investment portfolio. It simply means that there are greater investment options, which allows for reduced concentration risk in an overall more balanced portfolio allocation. I think that's it right there, exactly. That last line really is something I think the town needs to be aware of, and with the guidance we have received and with the oversight we have in place, I think it's a great opportunity for the town.
No, agreed. I know the last time we looked at these funds, meaning last year, we were a little disappointed at the performance. So this is hopefully going to improve that. So, all right, I'll entertain a motion. Anyone want to do it?
I'll move that we recommend Article 4, prudent investing, as stated in the warrant.
Second.
Beautiful. Any further discussion or questions? And anyone from the public should be jumping in also if they've got anything to add.
We're voting the same thing at school committee this week for our scholarship funds.
Nice.
We also use Bartholomew, so we got the same recommendation.
Well, that makes it consistent, doesn't it? Awesome, thank you. All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? All right, that one's unanimous. And I am so sorry, I got tickled. Who wants to write it?
I'll do it.
Bob's gonna take it? Oh, we're moving right down the row. I love it. Okay. Oh, no, Wes, we
He
We
jumped.
skip.
We went like
all right,
this.
that's all right.
We're back
went
on
like
track.
that. That's all right. Okay, so Bob's gonna write that one. All right. Okay.
Okay, Article 5 is town's acceptance of a parcel of land on, I think it's 50 Taylor Farm Road. And it's one that came before the select board, I think twice before. And it was the developer that was looking to donate this parcel of land. It is, I think it's about 7 acres of land.
It's 8.3 acres.
Okay, 8.3 acres. Oh, it's
Yeah, it's
written
right
right
in
there,
there,
thank you.
Thanks, Wes.
Yeah.
So anyways, so ordinarily, the select board can accept land or authorize the conscom to accept land. But in this case, where there's funding involved, it has to go to town meeting. And the funding is what was discussed at your meeting, gosh, it's gotta be last spring or summer.
Right.
And it was, the almost $3,700 that you see in this article is the amount that the developer or owner of this property has paid in taxes since it was first offered to be donated to the town. My understanding is it was ready to go to town meeting at one point, and then it was pulled from that, and then the developer it came back at a later point to the select board. So that's what this article is about.
Yeah, so I have one issue with this. Kind of the language says the select board has failed to accept this land on each occasion, so we actually intentionally declined to acquire this land.
Yeah, I like that, decline to acquire. I agree with you, Wes.
So the main thing is that what happened is that this person bought this Taylor Farm Road, proposed a housing development which he thought would pass the zoning board, and saved one extra parcel that he was intending to develop later. He then decided that it was too difficult to develop this land, but he came to the board and said, I want to donate it, but if you don't accept it, I'm going to build a house. And so at the time, we were like, okay, build the house. So apparently he chose not to for whatever reason, but I still, unless there's some new revelation of information that, like any new relevant information that would extremely do this, like I'm not going to vote for this, because effectively what's happening here is he's trying to offload 8.3 acres, which are kind of isolated. It's not like you can just go for a nice jaunt in this wetlands. What probably should have been done was apportion that land to all of the different lots and then have those people pay it. So effectively we're saying, let's remove this amount of taxable land off because a land developer didn't plan for it this way and now wants the town to take the responsibility for this money, and this money now no longer being taxable.
So I'm going to add a little bit of background information here. The developer had reached out to me about this as a select board member and a realtor, and he told me that his understanding is the select board had told him, go build a house. Like what he was telling me was that he felt that he walked away from that meeting believing that the select board would rather see a house and the tax benefits rather than have a gift of land. So it wasn't that, he wasn't trying to skirt anything. Then he went to the planning board, and unfortunately our zoning, and he was trying to move land around and all that, it wasn't gonna support it. He did not have confidence that the planning board would support this, so rather than spend any more money on engineering, et cetera, he came back to us, and met with us, and I honestly can't remember who was here and who wasn't, but he was operating on the assumption or the understanding that the previous select board told him we'd rather have the revenue, go build a house. So he has spent significant money on engineering, other things. I'm just gonna own it. Mike and I talked about, he was kind of, operating on one assumption that was not correct. We did try to validate it through minutes, et cetera, wasn't there, but we felt that it was good faith for the town to say, listen, we're not gonna pay you back for anything else, but we would like to pay you for the taxes that you otherwise would not have had to pay.
I think we've already voted on this in the sense, like we already told them and approved and said yes.
Yeah.
And I think right now, we just have to, we have gone enough back and forth
Right.
with this. I think we should just move on. I mean, I can see your point, Wes, but like we have already made the,
I mean, like, how are you gonna, if, I'm not really sure how the finance committee in any good, like, with any prudence or like, how they can say, no, let's reduce our tax liability. Or let's reduce our tax incoming. Like, from the finance committee standpoint, I don't see how they could.
Well, he's gifting it to the town, so
No, we're paying for it.
Right, we're paying the equivalent of the
but
taxes.
if he can't anyway build it, because if he's not getting the planning board approval, it's not going to be built.
We're
I mean,
trying to
I
do the
see-
right thing, Wes. He was under the understanding the select board, he was under the understanding that if the select board said, we want a house lot, somehow it would magically happen, and it didn't magically happen. And he did spend considerable funds trying to make it happen, and then came in and met with us. And I honestly don't remember if you were here for that meeting when he was here.
So,
It was-
so Wes, let me just ask the question. If, and I understand I'm gonna, on your last comment, if the FinCom approves this, would you approve this?
No, I'll be shocked and ask them what they're doing.
Okay, all right, so,
Like,
so in either case,
help me
yeah,
understand.
so in either case, if the FinCom doesn't recommend this, excuse me, if the FinCom does recommend this, you would still vote to not recommend it?
Correct.
And that's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
We don't have to
And
be
that's fine,
unanimous
and
on
that's
everything.
fine.
I just was just bringing
it.
back the reason, but I do agree that failed to accept should be declined to accept this land previously. Yeah, so,
Because effectively, it's literally, it's locked in by private property. So how is the town going to utilize this conservation land or wetland, I guess?
I don't think that's the point.
No, but so that's why I'm
It's
looking at
that
the
the
minutes from
previous
the
select
last
board
one.
didn't accept
I
it.
I'm
mean-
looking at the minutes from when this was discussed, and so effectively it was pulled because the conscom at the point said, I don't really see a benefit to the town for having a landlocked parcel of 8 acres where it's not abutting any other conservation lands, and there's really no easy way for any residents to get access to it. So how can,
But I think the conscom came during this time, and I know Rita was there, who wanted to accept the parcel. And,
Wanted to protect
and
it.
it was,
Yeah.
one of the things was like about, they were talking about how it's a place for like birds and animals and all that, so
Yeah.
I think,
Permeable soil.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
so-
idea was to protect it, but you know what, we can vote it, I mean, I actually feel like I need to be consistent, we don't know the funding source, so I wanna wait, so maybe I should actually abstain, not say no. And we'll revisit it when we know where the money is coming from, but I do support this, and this is more about consistency, my vote.
and, but like regardless, Kristen, like
Yeah.
even if you don't know the funding source, I don't think it matters at this point, for
I-
like, for
yeah.
this
It's
amount.
it's $3,700.
For the amount
Yeah.
that we are talking about,
Yeah,
right?
fair enough.
so
Fair
yeah,
enough.
so the reason why it says, he reached out to the town and told us pulled from the agenda because there were not any additional town lands contiguous to the parcel, and the town did not see a benefit of taking the piece of property. So that was from the minutes from the meeting where we declined it the first time.
Okay.
So this is going to, this will be amended to make some changes to the language? Is that what you?
Oh, that's just the summary, that's not the actual warrant, the summary.
okay.
The summary, we can change the word from failed to decline to accept the
Yeah.
land. Why don't we move it anyway, and we'll just, because I do agree with you, Priya, for $3,700, and we also already did basically say we were gonna do this, so, yeah. All right, I move to recommend Article 5, the Taylor Farm Road Parcel 1 Road acceptance,
Second.
subject to the funding source.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Abstain? All right, 4-1-0. You know, you guys, I want to go back to the one that I said no to and change it to abstain, because Or shouldn't I? I don't really know. What should I be doing? Because my whole point is I just want to know where the money was coming from.
No, you leave it.
Leave it? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want people to think that I don't want to
Then you
do it. I
can
just want to
abst-
know
if you
how
need-
we're doing
If you're
it.
really concerned, I would abstain, because a nay would mean that you're opposed to it.
Right.
Whereas abstain, you can say the
that's
person that
okay, right.
abstained
You
was
wanna
waiting
redo
for further
that vote?
information based on the funding source.
Yeah.
You're not against it. It's just
Right.
You don't have enough information.
Exactly. So if you don't mind, could we revisit? What's the protocol for revisiting? Who knows what
So
that
then I
is?
guess I'll move to recommend Article 2, was it?
Article 3?
3?
Yeah, okay. Is there a second?
So I'll second that.
All those in favor of
So-
reviewing it?
So what?
No, this just is allowing us to go back and revote it. We're gonna
Oh,
look at it
okay.
again.
Yeah, yes.
All those in favor of that?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain. Alrighty, so Wes, you had the original,
I'll
right?
move to recommend the supplement, Article 3 supplemental OPEB funding.
Who is the seconder?
I'll second it.
Excellent. Any further discussion? As I just mentioned, I want to change my vote because I'm not against it. I'm just not ready to say yes. All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Me. Aye. What do you say for abstain? Yo? Just kidding. All right. Moving
Anybody-
on.
Anybody wants to write the tail form?
I mean, I have to write the negative.
Yeah,
So it's not
I'll
me.
write the positive.
Okay,
Okay,
Um,
and then it's the zoning articles, right, next?
Yes.
We
So
don't
the-
do
so the
anything with
Next
that.
4 articles, you would probably be best served to
We
get
don't.
these briefed by Alec.
Yeah.
But I just want you to see what they are. So Article 6 is the accessory dwelling unit language updates. I can't speak to this with any intelligence or recent knowledge, so I'll leave that for Alec. So you
It-
probably shouldn't vote that one this evening.
Oh, is this because of
We
the,
can't
sorry,
vote
go ahead.
anyway,
Yeah,
right?
we don't vote on the,
Oh, that's right, it's planning board
so the
article.
next
Right.
one would just be the design,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, it's the
Design.
last
I
article.
would
Article
still,
9.
I have to say, you guys, though, I would still like to I'll read this carefully again myself. I want to understand it. Even though they're not our articles, I think we should still understand
Understand, yeah.
them, even if we're not recommending or voting. So,
I know that Alec and probably the chair of the planning board will be going to one of the FinCom meetings to present these articles so that they
okay.
understand if there's any financial impact. So,
All right, I'll keep an eye on the FinCom and try to just dial into that so it's not duplicative, or watch it later. Okay.
Article 7, also zoning, it's a hazardous waste article, I think that's a cleanup one. Zoning bylaw, this is also a cleanup article, that's Article 8. Article 9 is the design funding for a new firehouse.
Excuse me.
It's a placeholder. We don't know the amount yet, because we're not there by the end of January. In fact, even then, we may not have an exact. What this is asking for is just the design funding, not the construction funding, but it'll be based on an estimated construction cost. If this passed, it would get the project to out to bid with an exact cost, because we would have the contractor, and then it would go to a future town meeting, probably a year later, so probably May of 2026, for the full construction funding to then build the fire station.
Can we wait that long? That makes me a little uncomfortable. We're gonna wait another year.
Well, it's gonna take that long to actually come up
Okay.
with, because this funding in Article 9 will be asking for the full design funding. It would take that long for the architect and all of the sub-engineers and
Okay.
contractors to actually design it out and then put it to bid and then come back with a number. Because we really can't come to town meeting without that number.
I agree. Okay.
What's the ballpark for this number?
No,
I
It
would-
depends on the site.
It depends on the site, we haven't come to.
All right, so what's the range?
I wouldn't want to put out
I-
even a range at this point, but in a month we could.
Okay,
I mean,
so.
we have numbers that were, all right, we have numbers thrown about from the previous committee a year ago, and it was 30 to 35 grand, right? I
No,
mean,
that's
million,
not-
sorry.
This one would be for the design.
No, it's
Oh,
just
oh,
a design.
oh, 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 for the design. Sorry.
Yeah,
So,
anything I gave you, it wouldn't even be within an order of magnitude of being a real number, so I think I'd be,
you hesitate to do it.
well, I'd be careless to give a number.
Yeah. So-
That people would be listening to, and it wouldn't be a meaningful number.
So where is this money gonna come from? It's gonna come from free cash? Is there enough money in free cash to?
See why I abstained? Sorry.
Well, yeah, but this, right, but that's a small potatoes compared, I mean, this is,
No,
this is
my
like,
point is
this is
maybe
like the
we don't-
major thing here.
Maybe we won't have any
Right?
potatoes to
And until
share.
we know the number, we're not ready to even look at what's the source of the funding yet either. I think
But, okay,
that's-
but let's say, so there's free cash. If we decide not to use free cash, what are the choices? Would we,
Raise and appropriate,
That's it,
so we'd bond that?
yeah.
Okay.
not
Yeah.
bond,
That's
but
right.
like. it might-
Fund. He said fund.
Oh, fund,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
we'll fund, yeah.
Fund with,
Yeah.
Raise and appropriate taxes.
Yeah, taxes, yeah.
Well, wouldn't
Yeah,
it
but-
eventually be bonded, though?
We could wrap it in later.
That's what I'm
That's-
saying, you're right.
yeah, yeah, that
So,
would
so
be-
you're right with the step in between. We'd have to fund it, but then we would get it back with a bond on the overall construction. of
oh,
the
okay, all right,
building.
yeah, so, okay, so then,
Yeah. So this is one of those, I mean, I think I support it, and it's the same thing as OPEB, it's the same thing, I support it, we are absolutely gonna do it, but I kind of feel like I need to know what the dollar amount is and understand the funding source, so that we can make other decisions,
I mean,
so.
Yeah.
I'm
This
gonna be
one, I don't
consistent.
think we can
we
vote
can't
on.
vote
Yeah,
on
I
it.
think
No,
we just
yeah,
hold
yeah, 'cause
off
it-
on
Yeah,
it.
because it's,
It's
Yeah,
really just a
it's a big
placeholder
deal.
until we
Yeah,
get more
Yeah,
information.
I will do the recommendations for this one.
well,
Well, I,
We'll call that fellow into place.
Oh, look at that, all right, yep.
We almost knew what we were doing.
All right, okay. All right, well, we kicked off 4C and D. Any further discussion on any of our new business? No? All right, so it sounds like Tony's stepping off the capital committee and John Connor is stepping on.
Yes, and the reason is because he's chairing the finance committee and got his hands full.
Hongwa, did you want to? Oh, you have to grab a mic, sorry. Adam will bring it to you. Thank you, Adam. We just play past the mic here.
On the article that you went through, what about the late bills? The prior year
did we
bills?
miss the late?
I
Oh,
thought that was the first one.
those have been taken care of.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't see it in there, just making sure.
yeah. Thank
So
you.
what, we do it tonight? No,
What's that?
we didn't do it tonight.
No, we didn't do it tonight. We actually have no late bills. We thought we were gonna have some late bills, but we do not.
You okay?
Okay.
He doesn't,
We will let you work it out, you can let us
I'll
know.
let you work it out with Mike. But that was a good question.
Yeah.
We'll let you two guys work it
Yeah,
out.
you fill us in when you know, awesome.
Okay.
All right, okay, so you were telling us about the FinCom, just changing members of the capital committee.
Yep, so Tony is stepping down because he's the chair of the committee.
Okay.
And John was willing, and they were happy to have him be the representative on the capital committee.
John didn't want to join us, huh?
I mean, yeah.
All right, I
John
moved.
does want to, oh,
No,
you-
John.
Yeah, on
Oh,
Bill's-
yeah.
yeah.
All right, I move to accept the resignation of Anthony Newton from the capital committee as the representative of the finance committee.
Second.
Any further discussion? Tony, thank you for being chair. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And abstain. All right, I move to appoint John Connor to the capital committee as the finance committee representative for a term ending June 30th, 2027.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? All righty, so we have a changing of the guard.
Welcome, John.
Welcome, John.
Welcome,
John,
John.
John,
That's
if you're
right.
listening or you're looking, it's this Thursday at 9. No,
4 PM.
4 p.m.
why does it say 9:13?
what are you looking at?
Oh, this is.
Oh, no, no, no,
Oh, that's just the
now.
time.
Oh, that's the time now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Wow.
who sees that it's only 9:04?
Okay.
Okay, all righty.
So we will see you at 4 on
Thursday.
On Thursday.
All right, so we're gonna pass over our meeting minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We will take a look at those at our next meeting. So now we're at Select Board and Town Administrator Office Reports. So as always, we kind of start at this end and work our way through. It's only been a week. How busy have you guys been?
So we only have one position, well, technically two positions still open. That's the admin assistant for the treasurer collector's office, which we have re-advertised, done another round of re-advertisements for that position, and then chief is still going through the process to fill the vacancy for the firefighter position. Bids are due this Wednesday for the chlorine system for Hager Wells, so based on how bids come out for that, we should be able to issue a contract by the end of the week for that.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's good news. It's all good stuff. What do you got?
Okay, I just have one update. I received an email earlier today from Jeanette Coleman, who is the chair of the Public Celebrations and Ceremonies Committee. And her note says, the 2024 Boxborough tree lighting was a huge success with an incredible crowd of roughly 400 people, and it was a wonderfully festive atmosphere. This year's new location at the Boxborough Fire Station allowed the PCCC to expand the event and allow for more community spirit with a crafting tent and face painting and a grand entrance for Santa Claus down Mass Avenue.
I'm so sad I missed it. Are there videos anywhere? Does anyone take any video?
I'm not sure. Additionally, the menorah lighting
What's
will
that?
take place.
Are there pictures?
Yeah,
Okay.
there's pictures. I know there's pictures.
When you say grand entrance of Santa.
Yeah, I think he put it up last week.
Kirby,
Kirby had
Did you
put
do a
it up
video
last
or
week.
stills, Kirby?
Yeah.
it's all stills.
All right, I'll take
Thank
it. I'll
you.
take what I can get.
Additionally, this year, as we've discussed previously, Jeanette Coleman and her husband Adam Klein and their children made a menorah for the town, which is over near the tree in front of the fire station, and the lighting of that will take place on the first day of Hanukkah, which is December 25th at 6:30, and will be lit
6:30 a.m. or p.m.?
p.m.
Thank you.
And be lit.
Well, I don't know. That was not an ignorant question.
And will be lit every night at 6:30 for those 8 days.
So exciting.
Through January 1st. They'll be posting on a link that we'll be putting up on the website, and it'll go out on social media as well. All families are welcome to come and celebrate the lighting of the menorah, and the PCCC looks forward to seeing the community at the fire station for this event as well. Thank you, Jeanette, for doing a wonderful job again in coordinating such a wonderful event for the community.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yay. Thank you, Adam.
It was really
What's
a
that?
great event. I went, so it was really a great event.
Yay.
It was.
Can I have not driven by the lit tree. How'd we do?
Looks great.
They did a good job?
Make sure you see the star. Star is really
This-
cool.
Okay.
Star is really cool.
Okay. Just check. All righty. Okay. Anything else?
Nope, that's it for me.
I don't have anything. I've been away for the whole week. Sorry.
Okay, a couple of quick things. One is the COA meeting today. I learned that one of the regular funders of providing grant money to help them with their the newspaper, the Buzz, it will not be available next year. So
How
I
much is
mentioned this
that?
to Mike. They've been donating $1,000 a year toward that effort.
All right.
So.
In the name of my mother, who was the editor of the Beacon, I will donate the $1,000. Just as a private citizen. I'll write a check to the COA.
Nice.
Well.
Thank you, Kristen.
Well, I moved the Christmas tree from Mill Road down to the fire station. So I am just
Okay.
making good. So I will write a check to the town.
Okay, all of you in COA, I hope you were able to hear that. Okay.
All set.
Well, thank
Yep.
you very much.
You are
That's
welcome.
terrific.
Well, I'm just getting that
Boy,
Catholic
you
guilt.
really twisted arm. How did you do that?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I have no idea.
No, Doris was up there like.
Doris said, yeah, make sure that happens. So,
Yep,
next,
I will do it in memory of my mother.
that's really nice.
Happy to do it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Happy to do it.
So, I don't know if you've seen that Steel Farm has 2 wreaths on it. I don't know who, on the barn. I don't know who did that, but it looks fabulous.
That's so nice.
I haven't figured that out yet, but I just want people to know that it's there and you can appreciate the look of it. And the other thing I want to question, and maybe because I don't know the answer to, Water Resources Committee, do we have an updated contract at this point? Or have you not heard from
I have not
Wes,
signed one yet.
Unless, okay.
I know he's working on it.
He's working on it. Okay, all right, that's it for me.
The only one I have is, I attended a personnel board meeting, and the personnel board it has and is making a recommendation for the wage adjustment for next year of a 2.7 increase for the select board and for the FinCom to consider going forward. So 2.7 wage adjustment is what the personnel board did with their calculations, with the data they received and what they have going forward. So that will be the wage adjustment. And if there's any other step increase, that's separate, but the wage adjustment will be 2.7.
Do you want to speak to our meeting today?
Sure. The way the Boxborough does it, once the Personnel Board makes a recommendation, is that the chairs of the Finance Committee, Select Board, Personnel Board, and the Town Administrator get together, look at the data, have a discussion about it, and make a vote, which we did today. And we went with the, Lee gave us a presentation, same as what he gave to the Personnel Board, and I know that he had worked long and hard in preparing for that with Rajan, who did the comparables for statewide for the cost of living increases, as well as for our 20-town comparables. And based on his presentation and recommendation from him and the Personnel Board, we unanimously agreed with 2.7% for the non-union, non-contract employees, 2.7% increase.
Yep. So that will come back to us. We'll get a little more information. We'll have bring the slides, not the giant presentation. We'll bring it down to the need to know, and then we'll officially vote, whether we support the 2.7. But I will tell you, the presentation was great. You got to see it. I got to see it. It was very detailed.
It's very detailed.
Very easy to understand.
It's very easy, and Rajan did a fabulous job
Yeah.
by pulling the towns, and I think that's really what, as an employer of choice is what we really want to do. We want to make sure new employees and current employees want to stay with us and want to come work for the town. And I think that when they pulled the towns around us and we looked at what it is, I think 2.7 is what we need to do.
Rajan, why don't you speak to that a little bit about the polling that you did, and that we'll share the information as we get it.
Yes, so I just reached out to, one thing that, which I'm thankful for, is MMA actually has a spreadsheet that each town can self-report on what they plan on giving for each fiscal year for their town. So I pulled information from MMHR, and then also I pulled our comparable communities, which we come with based off the GovHR study. And it's still preliminary, but the towns that did report, I managed to get the information from them, but it's a good portion of them basically stated that either they're still in negotiations with their unions, or which is what drives the number that they use for their non-union, just to try to mirror that. But out of the communities, I think around like 5 to 6 have reported on, and I think the average is coming around 2.17 currently on. But this is still a pretty preliminary number because I haven't gotten all the communities yet, but we're still coming in over the average for our comps.
Great, thank you.
And that will still, what our goal is with the Personnel Board and with the Personnel Plan is to maintain a 75%. We're not the highest in the region, and we're not the lowest. We try to maintain a 75% within that range, and that will allow us to maintain that 75% range.
Yeah, to stay within the 75th percentile.
Better words, 75th percentile, yeah, exactly.
Perfect. No, thank you for all that. I know it's a lot of gathering. Awesome. Priya.
I don't have anything. I just wanted to find out from Mike, like for the ARPA funds. I know you alluded to it. We will have everything by the end of this year, right?
Committed.
If not, we have backups.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
You mean the contracts? You mean you'll have the last contracts?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I just signed a couple of contracts today. We had a couple of outstanding bills for engineering fees that I was just able to find out last week that we were able to use ARPA funds to pay those.
Yeah.
The reason they hadn't been paid is because the developer that was making an application with the town is in litigation. So rather than hold up the civil engineers, and finding out that we were able to legitimately use that money. We paid them off, so now Honolulu has their answer, and that's why we have no late bills. But yes.
Ta-da!
Okay, you happy now?
But yes, we're working diligently to close out those last couple of contracts and get that money all committed.
Awesome. Wes, I know you're going to move to adjourn. So before you do that, I wanted to ask Adam if he had anything from the school committee you wanted to share. Nope. Nope. All right. Wes, do you have any
That's
updates?
presumptuous, so my update is, I moved to adjourn.
I'm still doing it. Right. Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Oh, happy holidays to everyone.
Yes, happy holidays.